Okay, good morning. How is everyone? Am I in the right? Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing this morning? Let me just check if I'm doing this correctly. Am I in an old stream? Hold on one second. No, I'm in the right stream. Okay. Oh, okay. I guess it got the old. All right, let me correct this. Thank you. I'm sorry that this, I don't know how. Let me work on getting this the right title. How about that? How's everybody? Is everybody having a better morning than I am? Hold on one second. All right. I guess they put trial day 17. At least I got the thumbnail right? Okay. There we go. And let me just change the title. I don't know if I can even do it, but let's see. Hopefully people will be able to find us even with the wrong title. Okay, here we go. Corrected. All good. Thank you. Crazy. I think StreamYard has a new thing where you can refill in things from the previous episode. And last night I did a wrap up, and I guess I accidentally, as I was setting the stream up, did that last night. Did I spell it right? Did I spell it wrong? Hold on. Yeah, I spelled it right. Lindsay. Okay. Am I muted? Can everybody hear me? Hold on, let me check. Chris can't hear. All right, I'll work on it. It says you should be able to hear me. Okay, Chris is being a good morning troll. All right, everything's together. Good morning. Let's start again. Good morning. How is everybody? Does everybody have their coffee? Day 17. We got everything straightened out. We got here early. All right. Hi, Susan. Hello, William. Hi, everybody. Okay. Let's look at what's going on in court, shall we? I don't think they've even opened up court. So, and after I do that, I want to show you a few clips that people are talking about. I like the Law and Crime feed. I think they have the best sound. And I just like, I don't know, I like the way that they set up the way it looks. There's not a lot of distractions, despite the crawl on the bottom. Yeah, we're looking at just like a seal. Hold on, let me show you. So that's what's going on there. TikTok, so many crazy things to show you on X. So here's the video of that precise moment where, so Lindsay Clancy shook her head in court. I believe True Crimes Podcast also covered this on her channel. But check it out.
Do you recall reviewing that in the record?
Not off the top of my head, but I have no reason to doubt that it's not an accurate record.
December 24th, 2024, page 1442 of the Tewksbury records. It says, the patient was visible on the unit utilizing her phone. Her parents were in to visit and they brought dinner with them. Patient accepted medications and fluids. Patient in good behavioral control, maintaining safety. No SIB noted or reported. What do you have reason to doubt that that's on page 1442 of the Tewksbury record?
I have no reason to doubt that that's not an accurate reflection of what took place that day.
And what's SIB?
Self-injurious behavior.
And so, December 24th, 2024, that would have been
behavior.
A little bit better with the colors today, right? She's not wearing those light tan colors that make her look so jaundiced.
And so, December 24th, 2024, that would have been Cora's 7th birthday, right?
I mean, there, the mask slipped. Did everybody see that? The just
records. Says the patient was visible on the unit utilizing her phone. Her parents were in to visit and they brought dinner with them. Patient accepted medications and fluids. Patient in good behavioral control, maintaining safety. No SIB noted or reported. What do you have reason to doubt that that's on page 1442 of the Tewksbury record?
I have no reason to doubt that that's not an accurate reflection of what took place.
So she's in control. She's writing Reddington a note. She's like, shaking her head. She's in control of her defense there. Here, doctor for Lindsay Clancy. This is this Dr. Zizel who's visited with her 60 times. To me, that seems excessive. Let me know if you think it's excessive. It seems like, and he has deep feelings for her. Was that the phrase? Help me out. Was it deep feelings? I think he's in love with her. I don't know. It crossed my mind more than once in his testimony. It was an intrusive thought. I'll use Lindsay Clancy language. I had intrusive thoughts. Is this guy in love with her? Is this guy in love with her? Is this guy in love with her? Is this doctor in love with this baby killer? Seems so. And I think she is very pretty. She's a good-looking woman. I know other people say, oh, she's not pretty. I think she's superficially pretty. I'm not talking about her personality. She reminds me a little bit. Does everybody know this painting? John Singer Sargent. This painting. Her nose reminds me a little bit of that famous painting. All right. I don't know. Was he painting a killer? John Singer Sargent? Okay. I wanted to show you. Doctor for Lindsay Clancy, this is Libby Emmons, states that she has not heard voices since the event took place. So finally we have an answer to when the voices ended. Immediately after she killed her children. She never heard this voice again. And I want to talk about this voice that she heard, right? So you hear a stranger's voice. You never heard this voice before in your life. But it has authority over you. You cannot do anything but obey it. Does Lindsay Clancy want us to believe that she's that weak-willed, that all she could do was obey a voice she's never heard before in her life? Like a stranger says, you know, a stranger, when you meet a stranger and they recommend a restaurant you might not I'm just talking about, let alone kill your kids. Saying, how did this strange voice, so it's like a strange voice of a stranger she's never met before, has no intimate relationship with this voice, but she's going to follow it. She has to obey it. Does anyone get how weird that is? Someone, please explain the logic. Here's her Dr. Zazelle, who visited her 60 times, 20 times in the first 15 days of trial.
They were speaking on the phone, and she told them about these voices, or explained about the voices. Did she ask about the kids?
She did not, as I recall.
Now, in all of the times over the course of the last few years that you've met with Miss Clancy, how many times has she told you since the incident that she's heard a voice? Currently?
She has not heard voices since the event took place in 2023.
And you've now testified that over the course of a period of time that she did hear voices, right?
Yes.
And is that based on one of these 35 hours worth of conversations you had with her? How do you know that?
Well, they were collateral contacts. Spoke to other people. I spoke to other people who I asked the nature of their interactions with Ms. Clancy, and it was not a fishing expedition.
I love when they call these killers Ms. and Mr. Ms. Clancy. Wouldn't she be Mrs. Clancy? I guess Ms. covers it too. It's fair.
I asked them if they can tell me what happened.
Well, I'm asking
But they
you...
disclosed, pardon me?
You have to let them finish.
So they disclosed information to me that Ms. Clancy shared that information with them.
So who did she tell that she had a voice that told her to kill herself?
She spoke to a chaplain named Sheila Kavanaugh, who I spoke with, and Chaplain Kavanaugh told me that Ms. Clancy told her that she heard a male voice instructing her to first kill her children and then to kill herself.
So the same message that she delivered to Patrick that day on the phone, you heard from a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital after the incident occurred in January of 2020.
Right. So I just want to say, so I hear a strange voice I've never heard before. It says, empty out your bank account and give me your money. It's not even kill your cats, anything. I'm not listening to it. What is this strange voice? I mean, from the person I knew who heard voices, she had a relationship. She had names for all the voices and a relationship with them. Wouldn't you have to have a relationship with this voice before you killed your kids for it?
23.
Yes.
And so from all of the records that you reviewed of her treatment and all of the interviews with her family, who did she tell that she heard voices telling her to kill herself?
I believe she told family members.
Which family members?
I believe she may have said that to her mother. She, I believe, told her husband that she felt like killing herself as well.
In the records with the providers, you're aware, you've reviewed them all and you've sat through all of their testimony. You're aware that when she described intrusive thoughts, she never referred to them as a voice telling her to kill herself, did they? Did she?
No, she was referring to...
It's just a yes or no?
No.
So as far as her reports of these intrusive thoughts that appear over and over in the notes, you would agree that it was simply, when asked about what they were, it was simply that she felt like she wanted to die, right?
Yes, and...
It's just a yes or no.
Yes.
All right. So, I mean, little problem with the defense. I thought this witness was actually hurtful to her defense and not so helpful. I think it hurt on issues of credibility with the jury, and I don't know. There's been just so much. Hold on. I'm trying to email this video to myself. Hold on. That Tater just sent me. So this woman is trying to prove that Patrick Clancy did it with using Bratz dolls. I mean, this is the kind of, and just the craziness, let me just show you, of women with their children, holding their children for Lindsay Clancy, to support Lindsay Clancy. Let me see if I can show you some of these videos. One woman is just abusing her children. Please stop abusing your children in the name of suicide empathy for Lindsay Clancy. No, murder empathy. What are we talking about? Suicidal empathy, I guess, for Lindsay Clancy. Get actual help. So I guess she's pouring water on her baby to support her. But then there's also, let me go into my history. Look at Lindsay Clancy here. That's a smirk. It looks like she's replaying a memory that she enjoys here. What do you think? Is that a smirk? Is she replaying a memory she enjoys? I don't know. Is that a reach? Let's see. If Lauren Chen asks if Lindsay Clancy had methodically strangled and killed the 3 puppies instead of her own children, almost all the women defending her now would instead be calling for execution. So here's... So this is this weird song. This is the first Lindsay Clancy standout. So I don't know about this music. So you get a little bit.
All day, every day, therapist, mother, maid, nymph, then a virgin, nurse, then a servant, just an...
So that's the kind. So you get a chance for Lindsay, for mothers, for murderers, for baby murderers. It's the first Lindsay Clancy, and she's using Karen Reed. Remember, Kevin Reddington loved Karen Reed's pre-trial and during trial innocence fraud campaign. Wrote Turtle Boy, I wish you were on my side, while he was defending Jennifer McCabe, who was on the other side. So writing the other side saying, I wish I had you on our side. So he's really, I wonder how much of the defense is behind this, pushing this wear pink shirts like Karen Reed, get to the courthouse Thursday. So today is the day of the Lindsay Clancy standout. The murderer groupies are getting together today. Baby murderer groupies are together and they're defending her. So these crazy women, this is what Lauren Chen has to say about it. Let's listen to what she has to say about these murderer groupies. I know that it's primarily women because of the postpartum issue, but she's got a lot of men defending her. On social media that you see, it's women on this one. But this is no different than any of the other murderer groupies for any of the other murderers within Innocence Fraud Campaign.
Significant mental health issues.
So this woman is a mental health counselor. Remember this psycho? She's like, I relate to Lindsay Clancy. On a bad day, I could just murder my children. She's giving me ideas. I can't wait to do it. These scary mental health providers.
After one of our children was born.
It's actually not really seen as that big of a deal to kill your kids if you're a woman. I mean, like, were you sad though? Were you having a hard day? But let's talk about Lindsay Clancy. So as I said in the intro, this is a story that's been going on for a while, but I didn't want to address it because honestly, it's just upsetting to me. Lindsay Clancy is...
She didn't want to address it because in the beginning, it was wholly unpopular. I think I was one of the only people out there saying it. In the beginning, you couldn't find pushback to this narrative. So Lauren Chen came along when other people were talking about it. It was too upsetting. Does anybody believe Lauren Chen wasn't talking about it because it was too upsetting? Or was she not talking about it because it was a wholly unpopular position to get you a lot of harassment online?
With that being the case, you might wonder, are so many women on TikTok and social media in general defending Lindsay Clancy to the point where they've now raised, I think, $715,000 for her? Well, apparently it's because she was dealing with postpartum depression and maybe postpartum psychosis. She was admittedly on a little bit of a cocktail of medication. She had voice to...
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit of a cocktail. I mean, are we talking about the one that she crushed and snorted up her nose? Or are we a voice told Lindsay? Did she snort it up her nose or did she take it? I don't know. She crushed it, right? A voice told Lindsay to use the insanity defense. That's funny. Bring exercise cords to court for Lindsay. Yeah, we should. Our side should. I don't know. Could we think of something like maybe more inspiring for the victims? I mean, this is like crazy. People got to get out and I mean, the victims have no voice. They need people to stand up for them. Not Lindsay Clancy. She's got $1 million, I don't know what he cost, Kevin Reddington. A lot. He's an experienced defense attorney. Thank you. I don't know how long I'm going to stick with this. I might just hold on one second. Let's trying to find where I am. Okay.
Doctors that she was, having trouble with mental health. She was feeling like she was disassociating. This, according to some of these women, mean that, hang on, let's give her a chance. Let's be sympathetic to her. Is it even her? Some are asking. Maybe the husband did it. This is BS. This is 100% BS. These people who are now like so quick to rush to Lindsay Clancy's defense because, her mental health, but she was on medication. You never hear these same people use those arguments for like a male school shooter, even though arguably they would technically apply as well. And that's because I've said this before when it comes to people like the killer of Irina Zarutska. Yeah.
So people are trying to sort of, I'm kind of bored with her. I don't know. She doesn't seem to have anything real new to say. Baby killers are bad. I thought we all got that, but apparently not. Apparently not. Apparently baby killers are very popular now.
Patrick Clancy.
So this is a woman who is going to prove that, is going to defame the father, these three victims' family member.
I'm going to prove that Lindsay Clancy's bedroom was staged using Bratz dolls and a shoebox reconstruction of the crime scene, because I noticed something that absolutely nobody else has noticed, not even the blood experts. And if they did notice, they...
Oh my God, she noticed something that nobody else noticed. No narcissism there. Makeup on fleek.
strategically omitted it from their testimony.
Eyelashes on. Winged eyeliner, perfect. She's found something that no one else has found.
Because it proves that Lindsay Clancy is innocent. My only credentials are that my brain works like this, guys.
Oh, this is like, it's like someone else, another channel we know. Her brain is, she just naturally, unfortunately for her, she's just born with a brain that just solves crimes. That she solves crimes. Her brain solved crimes better than anyone else. She can, if there's a solved crime, if someone stood up and said, hey, I did it, she's there to say, no, you're wrong. Hey, self-confessed murderer, you're wrong. I just have a brain like that. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm talented like that. Kill me.
This was my design.
If you know, you know. And I'm a forensic files enthusiast. Back to...
Oh, she watches a lot of forensic files, guys. Oh, Tater, what did you send me here with this?
Back. Everyone needs to see this, and the only way that I know how to explain it is by showing you. That's why...
Everyone needs to see this, but not for the reason that you think. Have you considered going to McLean's? Have you considered taking a nice long vacation at McLean's?
I made the reconstruction. Please stay with me and watch this, because I'm going to be reenacting the scene the way that I see it when I look at the crime scene. This is your trigger warning. If you're sensitive to domestic violence and blood and graphic detail, do not watch this video. I've managed to semi-accurately dress Lindsay in a black tank top and jeans, but unfortunately my male Bratz doll...
Oh, so she perfectly... Look at her. Look at Lindsay Clancy. Full glamazon. Which Bratz dolls represents the children?
Didn't come with a weaker jawline, and he doesn't have accurate clothing to what Patrick was wearing other than the first pair of shoes. So excuse me for that. First, let's do a quick tour. This is the doorway. This is the navy shelves. This represents the mirror. Blood spot A. This represents the pillow next to the mirror, the pillowcase next to the mirror. I've just drawn some blue on the floor. Lindsay's slippers, the green tub, assorted linens I've just depicted using just a pencil here just for reference. Blood spot B, blood spot C, and our drawers along with our knife. And I've roughly indicated where the cups were and the spray bottles on the bedside table there. Then we have our Lindsay, the phone on the bed. Excuse the old vintage phone, wasn't really a thing back when Bratz dolls were made. I saw the theory that Lindsay...
There's a great video I have on Amanda Knox, which uses dolls to explain, because so much of the Meredith Kircher murder case has to do with Amanda Knox's lies and shiftings of story. So it used dolls to explain what she said at different times. But this is something else. This is she's using dolls and she's also like a little Dexter with her fake. There's some unsolved crimes in Australia. Australia, I assume, with the accent. I would look into this woman if there's some unsolved crimes just with the blood spatter. Is it splatter or spatter? Can someone tell me?
She had the window shut on her neck, but unfortunately I have a more plausible explanation as to what's happened to Lindsay and why her thyroid was crushed, so let's get into it. I've also made sure I can move the bed because it's vitally important, and what kicked this off for me is what I saw when I saw the blood.
Thank you, Paul Sellis, 6242. I appreciate it.
And the bed. Okay, from the top, here's our...
So, okay, spoiler alert. I'm going to say that she's going to say that her thyroid was crushed. This is her crazy imagining. Even though Lindsay Clancy has stood up and said, I did it. It's not a whodunit, but this woman's making it a whodunit. She's saying, I don't believe Lindsay Clancy. We should believe Lindsay Clancy except when she says she did it. Then we don't believe her. It's the grieving father.
Lindsay. Our Lindsay is sleeping. I think that the Benadryl in the cup full of lemonade wasn't a suicide attempt. It was a sleep aid.
Oh, so she put it in lemonade to make it work faster? Okay. not up her nose. Okay. I knew she crushed it. Okay. Thank you for that answer.
Our Lindsay was sleeping, and she was probably sleeping a long time before this kicked off. What I'm alleging has happened is Lindsay has been rendered unconscious, and that is what has caused her thyroid injury. The safest thing to do.
This woman should be barred from playing with Bratz dolls. That's her. I think that should be her first punishment. Her second punishment is she should be barred from watching any true crime trials, murdertainment, innocence fraud channels. And she's only allowed to, I don't know what, read books? I don't know if that'll help. Lord knows what she's
Was to turn off the Apple Watch to make sure it wasn't tracking any of her movement, because any movement from her part or lack thereof was going to be suspicious. He took the Apple Watch downstairs with him to the basement, turned it back on, and then used it to send himself a work email.
So I'm refreshing. This is what we're looking at, just the seal. So a work email sent by Patrick Clancy at 5:24. This is nonsense. Just so you know, I do not subscribe to this. I'm trying, maybe unsuccessfully, to mock it. Okay, a work email sent by Patrick Clancy at 5:24 p.m. on January 24th has sparked debate online among true crime dum-dums. The email was referenced during cross-examination in the murder trial of his wife, Lindsay Clancy. All right.
So that it would be reasonably explained that he had nothing to do with her Apple Watch activity. Then I'm alleging that he dragged her unconscious body to the edge of the bed and sat her facing the mirror because he needed to see what he was doing. His plan was to be able to hold her upright and make every single wound look self-inflicted. When he cut her wrist...
Wow, how did he do that? And he did such a poor job. He could only give her scratches that, like, healed up. Or superficial wounds that healed up by the time the paramedics came. And even with using the mirror, amazing. Amazing.
Caused blood spot A. He realized that it's going to be impossible to keep her limp body upright. And
do you notice what's missing in this? There's there's only two characters in this. Where are her children? Do you notice how this woman just removed the victims from this story?
And keep blood off himself, especially if she started to stir from deep pain stimulus in that wrist. So what does he do? He panics. Our Lindsay is...
Because, see, there only can be one victim with these murderer groupies, and that's Lindsay Clancy. There's no room for any more victims. There's only one victim. The children are just like, it's unfortunate. Yeah, sorry. But Lindsay Clancy, look what my imagination. This is all from her imagination. This is called tailoring the evidence to your imagination. Or is that right?
Still bleeding off the edge of the bed because her hand has been positioned there. She's unconscious.
Yes, tailoring your story to the evidence.
And he moves the bed, which then causes the blood to travel. Excuse the length ratio here. It's not perfectly to scale, but it explains the blood trail from blood spot A over here without any touching on the bed. Next, what does he do? He gets back on the bed, positions our Lindsay back upright. He knows he still can't get any blood on the bed, but he has to make it look like she's up and standing and moving around voluntarily, right? He struggles to fling her unconscious.
Wait, so he's like holding her body and then like flinging it around. Does she know what it's like to hold up a body even like that? An unconscious body? She's saying he's holding up an unconscious, like a dummy, and flinging it around to get the blood spatter because he's most concerned with making evidence. This is wild.
This body, which may or may not have caused the only spatter transfer in the bedroom on the mirror. He then maneuvers her body.
So she's saying it's spatter. Okay.
Body this way, creating this blood trail up here, and then positions her on the bed, creating blood spot B.
I think, okay, spoiler alert. So how did Lindsay Clancy call him back? I think that she's going to say that he did it. He picked up her phone and made it look like he's the only one who, because Lindsay Clancy isn't testifying. We haven't heard. Does anybody think it's odd that Lindsay Clancy doesn't want to testify? I mean, we haven't heard. She hasn't been asked yet, right? If she's going to testify. But wouldn't you think she would be desperate to testify and tell us all about the voice she heard for the first time?
And that's also when he pressed the push lock with bloody gloves to make sure the kids couldn't come up and interrupt him. So we've left a trail up to blood spot B. I'm alleging that Lindsay's already bleeding wrist is limp and hanging downwards, and nothing but gravity is causing these passive blood droplets on the floor. So from here, he realizes it's going to be challenging to grab the knife and return it to this side table, which would be his workstation. So what does he do? He moves it. It's possible that...
All right, I'm getting bored with this. Is anyone else getting bored with this? It's enough. Thank you for this. Hi, I'm an insane narcissist with a totally ridiculous theory. All right. I think any minute court is going to start. It's almost 9:20. Yesterday we stopped early with no real explanation. So did anybody hear what happened there? It's like, he's like, the judge just told the jury, due to unforeseen circumstances, we're closing up. So you're starting late. Oh, wait. Yeah. I was going to show you some of the weird TikToks. Hold on. I was going to get through all the horrible Lindsay Clancy murderer groupie posts I have bookmarked, which is a lot on my ex. Hold on one second. Here's some of them. Whoop. So here's what they look like. Here's some TikToks. This Savannah Hernandez said the worst part about these same Lindsay. So they say, same Lindsay. I feel you, Lindsay. Same Lindsay. Lindsay Clancy murdered her kids. Same Lindsay. I want to murder my children too. Cruelly and the most personal. I want to put 10 pounds of pressure on my baby's neck. Same Lindsay. Same. Lindsay Clancy's a baby killer, triple baby killer. Same, Lindsay, same. I'm with you, same. In another same Lindsay video, a child is heard off screaming, saying, "Mama, Mama, I love you, Mama." So here it is.
Spend way too much. She wrote that, right? Correct. I'm terrified of Callan getting sick.
Same, Lindsay. I'm supporting you while I'm holding my babies.
A sick baby is miserable. He's sick now with a double ear infection. Clearly has a bellyache. It's miserable. I feel like the other...
Right. It's really hard having a baby with an earache. Let me get some exercise bands and put 10 pounds of pressure around their neck over periods of 4 to 7 minutes.
Kids are going to get him sick all winter long. She wrote that, right? Correct. I always feel strongly against sleep training. I feel like it's abusive to let the baby cry and not respond. But I made the decision. I did it with Cal. It is way too much.
Oh, I'm so afraid for these children. Where's CPS?
Crying. It's incredibly stressful. She wrote that, right? Correct. He's okay. He will be okay. It's not harmful in any way. The doctor said it was okay.
I think one of the problems that we have is like a misunderstanding about life. like expectations, basic expectations of life. When I grew up, my parents told me life isn't fair. I don't think anybody's telling young people that anymore. Life isn't fair. Life is hard. Has a lot of challenges. The minute things like it's really hard to have a sick infant. Yeah. It's really hard to raise children. Yeah. Life is hard. It's not easy. It's a killer, right?
Plenty of people sleep train their kids at that age. It's necessary as a third child, is what she wrote, right?
Correct.
I feel incredibly sad and guilty about not breastfeeding anymore. That was the one thing I could do to help his immune system, and I can tell he really doesn't like the formula. I'm very sad about this. I know at this time it's what I needed to do for my mental health. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
And then the statement started getting...
Okay, we're live, I guess. Wow. We've never really seen the gallery before, huh? Let me pull myself out of here. Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate it. For the chills. DCH, Lindsay is insane. We can't trust her confession. It's funny. Right? Funny. Yeah, I think we're just on break. Yeah, we're all caught up. We're just on break. Another horrible sidebar, long sidebar. Wow. I mean, we're half an hour in and nothing. Nothing. While we're waiting, some more horrible Lindsay Clancy TikToks.
Taking care of everyone. My
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. No, of course, okay, hold on.
mind is trying to make something physically wrong with me. My mind never shuts off. It's constantly thinking of the next thing someone needs. I can't shut it off.
My mind is constantly thinking. So this person isn't that depressed. They're same, Lindsay. I still have time for my beach body workout.
desperately want to go back to work.
She worked out. Someone pointed out on X that she worked out for an hour and a half with 3 kids. They thought that was very selfish.
But now I don't know how I'm going to function, and it worries me. Wrote that, right?
Correct.
There were 2 consecutive or 2 pages that were blank that she didn't even write on. And then on the 3rd entry, affirmations. She wrote affirmations. On November 22nd of 2022, I am calm. I will remain calm today. There is nothing that needs to be on my mind. The weight is lifted from my mind. I will sleep tonight. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then there's this meme, which I thought was interesting. Believe all women. Lindsay Clancy, I did it. Don't believe her. So people are kind of making this political. The Babylon Bee has made it to a thing about Planned Parenthood. This is one of the most I think I read this yesterday. But this is all the stuff she was doing in Tewksbury Hospital on the anniversaries. May 26th, 2023, Callan's first birthday. She was self-propelling down the hallway, visited with her mother, ate dinner, and played games. December 24th, 2023, Cora's 6th birthday, accepted medication, meals, and snacks, watched TV, used her phone, and visited her family. Just want to keep refreshing to make sure that we're up to date. In the trial, we're not missing anything. Nothing's going on. It's just a seal. So on Cora's 6th birthday, which is the day before Christmas, December 24th, she accepted medication, meals, and snacks, watched TV, used her phone, and visited family. January 24th, the first year anniversary, she was engageable with staff and peers, and she had pleasant interactions, because why wouldn't she? Things were looking up at, remember? February 7th, 8th, and 9th, things were looking up. She was more hopeful about the future after she killed her kids and injured herself. Dawson's 5th birthday, attended coffee group, socialized with peers, and was pleasant upon approach. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. She wasn't suffering after she killed her children. She wanted to do it. She's happy they're dead. I mean, it was scary to listen to how much she had manipulated. I don't know if she'd manipulated that therapist or sort of thought he was down to support a baby killer. As long as it improved his financial status and his career. That's how I felt about Dr. Zizell. I don't know. How did everybody else feel about him? I think she's just, I don't think these killers are as smart as they are calculating and manipulative. It's like a different kind of mind. I mean, I don't think she's dumb for sure. After I had a baby, I didn't want to go anywhere. She wanted to take, she was taking selfies in the hospital. Just like Mackenzie Shirilla. Court is on Massachusetts schedule for sure. Oh, these sidebars. I think it'll go to the I think it'll go to the jury this week though. Has anyone heard anything about this Lindsay Clancy protest that started at 7:45 this morning? Let's see if I can find any information on it. Oh, here they are. Here they are outside the courthouse. There's silent protest. We love the baby killer. We love this baby murderer. Free the baby killer. Free the baby murderer. She heard a voice. She heard a voice she never heard before, telling her to kill her kids. And she was like, okay, stranger, no probs.
Women in one place at one time who may understand all of us on a level that others don't. So. Hold your hands in a hug. Show a hug. Show a hug for Lindsay. It's a mental health.
Show a hug, not for the children she murdered, but for the baby murder. Show a hug. Oh, scary, scary, scary. They're a lot older than I thought, those women, than I thought they would be. I thought it would be like a lot of much more young mothers, but I guess they have to make their TikTok videos. You know, it's interesting. When I first started talking about this case, I wasn't sure how I landed, but I was really skeptical. And I voiced my skepticism. And I had so many people say, like, oh, Roberta, I agree with you on this case and that case, but not this case. She's really mentally ill. I mean, did you see she's paralyzed? Did you see she's in a wheelchair? And now I have people saying I was thinking you were wrong in the beginning, but since watching the trial, the people who are actually watching the trial and not watching the social media around the trial are realizing that this is a defense made on sand, built on sand. I mean, it all crumbles when you get into the actual details. Like I say so many times, the devil's in the details, like pretty literally in these true crime cases. The details are everything. So yes, it's true that Lindsay Clancy paralyzed herself. Although the DA came out, and I can show you that article, and said she didn't paralyze herself, but till we hear otherwise. Will we see a remarkable recovery for Lindsay Clancy after the trial's over? Maybe. I wouldn't put it past this defense team, maybe. But when you say she paralyzed herself, right? You think, oh, she must have been really crazy. She must have hurled herself out the window, maybe head first. Like, that was the most ridiculous part of La Posada's testimony, that she went out the window head first, but didn't damage her head at all onto the hard January Massachusetts ground. You're funny. DG 64, you're funny. She can walk once the lawsuits are finished. Right. I mean, I wonder. I've just been fooled too many times by these killers. Thanks, Samantha. I mean, this... Then you find out that she slid out the window. That's the prosecution's theory. To me, how she went out the window is so important, and I think that's... The defense has honed in on that salient point. The prosecution seems a little confused as to what they're proving. The judge asked the prosecution, does anybody remember what day that was? I'm going to go back and try to find that moment where the judge, it was like, just was talking to the lawyers. I believe it was outside the presence of the jury. And he said, aren't you trying to prove that she didn't really mean to end it all? And the prosecution puzzlingly said, no, that's not what we're trying to prove. Then what are you trying to prove? Prosecution has to get together their narrative, because it doesn't make any sense. Their story makes zero sense. You cannot concede. And I see this in true crime coverage, where people take up nonsense theories and nonsense positions to try to appease everybody. So I'm going to take the middle road. It happens to be totally untrue, but I'm going to take the middle road because I'm taking on board some of the defense and some of the prosecution, and then I can please everybody. And then I can get the likes and the clicks and the support from the audience, and sometimes it works. It just happens to be you're supporting a position that's totally untrue because you've totally compromised. I see the same thing with the prosecution. They kowtowed to Lindsay Clancy's pretrial innocence fraud campaign and the narrative that was put out in the media. So they said no jury's going to buy the real story, that Lindsay Clancy is so manipulative, that this was her field, being a nurse, baby nurse. And what do you hear about women? If you hate your children, you hate your family, you hate your marriage, you know that killing your children is going to kill your marriage, right? So that's taken care of. You want to kill your kids. What are you going to do? What do you hear about women who kill their kids and you want to get away with it? You have to fake mental illness, right? Andrea Yates. Everybody hears about Andrea Yates. You don't want to be like Susan Smith. Kill your kids in the car, though it looks like she was looking up things about deactivating the airbags in the car. So maybe she was thinking about doing a Susan Smith, but that's not good if you want to get away with it. You got to say you're really mentally crazy, hearing voices, psychosis. Why is she Googling all these things? She's never Googling hearing voices. What happens when you hear voices? Because she only heard this voice like once, never before, to kill her kids, and she had to listen to this voice. This is strange. I don't know. Maybe this is before this is really aging me, but has anybody gotten directions from a stranger before we had GPS? Like at a gas station, you're like, I'm not sure that's the way to go. I think they gave me bunk directions. Not even going to follow. I'm lost, but I won't even listen to the stranger because I don't think I know what they're talking about. Has anybody ever been in that car? You don't even have to be driving. Someone else has to can be driving, right? But a stranger tells her to kill her kids who she's supposed to love, right? And she's like, whoop, I got it. I don't know anything about this voice, the force behind it, nothing, but I got to listen to it. Does anybody think I'm stuck on this? I find that so odd. I don't think she had thought that through, right? This is the voice, like this stream thing. Oh, right. Maybe I'll start doing that to promote, since I'm such a terrible self-promoter for my channel and myself. Maybe I'll start using that. This is the voice. Hit the thumbs up. Support the stream. Venmo. Buy me a coffee. The voice says support this channel. I just find it really odd. Yep, decades ago, directions were a thing, right? When you had to stop for directions. Sorry, I know I'm aging myself. Did I tell you I just rented a car like not too long ago? And they were like, so they upgraded me and they gave me a push button car. I was like, I don't know what, like they just handed me like this key fob thing. They could have handed me, I was like, what is this? I haven't driven rented a car for a long time. Technology has changed. I was like, you're going to have to tell me how to start this car, this push button. I don't know what this key fob push button. I don't know from that. I know rolling down. I know hand rolling down windows. I learned how to drive on stick shift. You have any stick shift cars? They're like, no. What do you do with this? They had to like come out and show me how to turn on the car. I don't know. Is there no court today? So court's off today? Where are you getting this news? I'm still waiting, thinking they're going to come back. Are they not going to come back? What's going on? Hold on. I think we're just on a break now. Maybe they're putting in a new juror. Something might have happened with a juror. I thought I had an idea. Herself says, is this not the definition of white privilege? I know, right? I've been meaning to do an episode on Lindsay Clancy's privilege. Her husband worked from home. She had a nanny. Her other two children went to school. And she had almost 5 months off for maternity leave. And she was trying to get more, right? More leave. Thanks herself. Frightening. Really frightening. All right, I'll see you guys back here. Right, I know. They just overturned that conviction. The judge presided over a similar case, but the woman was black and the result was totally different. They just overturned the conviction because they didn't include her mental health records while she was on trial, I believe, or awaiting trial. I went over that case. Oh, they say jurors are being sworn in. Okay. I wasn't going to turn off the trial. I was just going to go. If she was obese, unattractive, poor, they wouldn't support her. Right. They like pretty murderers. Murderers who they think don't look like murderers. But what do murderers look like? And that's the question I've been asking for years and years and years on this channel. What does a murderer look like? If you haven't figured out that there's attractive murderers, there's well-spoken murderers, there's rich murderers, there's poor murderers. There's black murderers, there's white murderers, there's Puerto Rican murderers. I mean, I think that, Lindsay, what happens with these psychopaths is that they're so blank and they're so empty that they're the perfect person to put your face on and your personality on and to project feelings onto. She really doesn't have any deep feelings except feelings of satisfaction that she murdered her children. Thank you so much. Very generous.
In a short recess, and we're going to
Shayna.
bring the jury back in, and we'll call the next witness. Okay?
Good. All rise.
Was the juror dismissed, Tater? Is that what happened? They had to swear in a new one? Okay. Hopefully that wasn't a juror who was going to vote guilty. I wonder if we're going to have a hung jury here. Here we go. First break. Come back for a break, right? Nothing happened. You missed nothing. We've just been looking at the seal for now, and I've been on for an hour and 15 minutes. So you've missed nothing. Thanks, Exploded Toad, for the 2 jewels. Thanks for supporting the stream. Okay, thanks, J. Crow. I love when people send me things on X. That's a great way to send me things if you want me to see something right away. I'm at Roberta Glass Pod on X if you want to follow me. But just while we're on the break, here's Lindsay Clancy. Did you catch this body language while the jury was not present? This was during the voir dire of the TikTok witness. Yikes. Mask off all the way. Is this where she shakes her head? I mean, just, she seems to have, like, I love that expression, like tickets on herself. She seems to recognize that she's very pretty. And the long blinks and the like making eyes. Don't look directly into her eyes, right? For John O'Keefe, I did that. I dedicated 2 years of my life to it. I don't know. Now it's what are they saying about her on X? Okay. Denise wants to know. Well, there's a lot of it's divided, but she's got a lot of support. She's got a huge support on TikTok, which I think is the worst platform, the most garbage platform ever. It's my opinion. Hold on. Let's see what. Oh, I'll tell you what people are saying. So there was this standout. I showed you that, right? You want to see it again? Do we have time? I think so. Do we have time? Do we have time? I say naively. Of course we have time. So this is.
You'll ever have this many women in one place at one.
We'll never have this many murderer groupies in one place again. For this particular murder groupie, unfortunately, murder groupies will be back to support more murderers at another rally later. But this one, they've never seen so many women together.
Who may understand all of us on a level that others don't. So.
Right. We. It's scary. They say they understand this murderer at a level that others don't. I might not disagree with that. I don't know. It scares me that you relate. So this is large online female community has launched a coordinated TikTok movement in support of Lindsay Clancy, the Massachusetts mother. No, not charged with strangling her 3 children. She admitted she did it. Participants are declaring their allegiance from whatever state they're in using labor already. An anthem in anti-patriarchy circles as their soundtrack. I've never heard that song before. Many portray Clancy not as a woman whose defense cites severe postpartum psychosis, but as an almost certain victim of her husband, whom they insist must be the real perpetrator. Not all of them, I don't believe, think she's innocent. Right, these I stand with Lindsay people. I think some of them are just buying her nonsense. Right. So that's like 24/7 baby machine. That's what she was with her hour and a half that she had to do her beach body exercises in her, 5 months of her 8 months, right? Of being out on maternity leave. But I'm not going to play the sound, but you get the idea. But here's some, it's all that same soundtrack. And this is like a healthcare provider or some kind of nurse's assistant, taking care of vulnerable people. It's frightening. I mean, she's in scrubs. I don't know what she does, to be honest. But some of these are psychologists, psychiatrists. Scary. Supporting this baby murderer. Yeah, that's what it looks like. TikTok. It's all awash with baby murderer support. And I was saying, let's start a movement for the victims. Can we start a TikTok? I stand with Lindsay Clancy's murdered babies. Not quite so catchy. Right. Do you think there'll be copycats? I don't know. It's going to be scary. And when she gets out, she's going to be on the media circuit, and then she's going to be giving lectures because she really wanted to be out now, being an advocate for postpartum something. She might be an advocate for, it's like she's an advocate. If Reddington didn't bar her from speaking to the press, she wanted to be out there giving interviews about and being an advocate for postpartum something. Maybe psychosis, maybe borderline bipolar reaction to Zoloft. It's just vague. It's something. May have been intrusive voices. It may have been actual voices. It may have been her voice. It may have been an intrusive thoughts. It may have been a strange voice. It may have been her own intrusive thoughts. We just don't know. TMZ posted what? New pics of Patrick Clancy and his new wife canoodling in public. Yeah, I'm sure he's getting no privacy during this. Right. If I put a video of me killing a rabbit for food, if she had strangled her 3 kittens, no support. But strangle your 3 children. I was just so disgusted by La Posada's testimony about those bruises. What were those bruises from, Dr. La Posada? Well, they weren't defensive wounds from trying to live against the mother that was struggling against their murderous mother who was snuffing out their life. It wasn't that they were fighting for their life at their last moments. No, they got those bruises from running and playing. But if you ask her how she knows that, she'll just make up a new lie. It's scary. If I faked it, Confessions of the Insane, right? If I faked it, right? Confessions of the Insane. Right, she might have a book. If she gets a not guilty by reason of insanity defense, she may go to a mental hospital for 6 months. Maybe a year. And then she's out and she can make all the money she wants on her crime. She can clean up on her baby killing. Get rich. Thanks, Mom. Interrupted for the 10 jewels. I appreciate it. You're right. She may walk. I don't know. Maybe. Anything's possible with Lindsay Clancy. She's so manipulative and deceptive. Anything's possible. Scary, right? So many baby killers, and they're coming after me on social media for sure. They come after this channel, this live stream of the trial. Never had that happen before. Got shut down. Got reported to YouTube and shut down, I believe. I can't know, but I believe that. So you can see, like, I think it's like day 14 or 15, maybe earlier than that. You can see it's in part 1 and part 2. And there's no thumbnail on part 1 anymore because they took it down. I don't know. I don't know why YouTube does that. It's odd. Then I had another video that was reported again for the same thing, community violations. They've attacked me personally a zillion times in the comment section and on X. It's like it rolls off my back now. I'm so used to dealing with these murderer groupies, but like I've kind of had enough of them. 9 years of dealing with it, it's enough. It's like, and when this is over, they'll go to another case and support another killer. Susan Ross says on X, wonder why Lindsay didn't call her mom when she heard this voice. They were so close, right? I'm hearing a voice, not like, but she hears a voice and immediately she knows she has to follow it. If I were the prosecutor, I would be honing in on that weirdo fact. All right, I'll see you guys in a sec.
This court is back in session. Please be seated.
All right. Counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Bring them in.
All rise, please. All persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court, now sitting in Plymouth, within the Commonwealth. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The court is now in session. Please be seated.
Yes.
Before the court today, we have the continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you again. I know I just spoke to you probably about 10 minutes ago. But again, I want to ask you those questions, then we'll talk a little bit about what our schedule is today and for the rest of the week. All right, so first question, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial as a juror? Next, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time? Again, thank you for following those instructions. And then in regards to our schedule today, you're allowed to kind of roll your eyes because I'm going to say we're going to have kind of a short day today. All right? And that is, as I talked to you yesterday about an issue that has nothing to do with any of the attorneys in this case. All right? It's just something we're going to work out, and I anticipate it will be worked out so that tomorrow you should count on a lengthier day. All right? I've talked to counsel earlier this morning in regards to where we are in regards to the schedule and the timeline. We are still, if not on schedule, still ahead of schedule. All right? And this delay that we may have a little bit this afternoon won't affect that. All right, so I just kind of wanted to let you know that I appreciate. I know you came in here this morning. It's going to be a short day, but also gear up for a longer day tomorrow. Okay, and so with that, the other thing is I told you it's got nothing to do with any of the attorneys, but it's also or the parties. So you're not to speculate about what this might be. It's also you're not to hold it against either of the parties in regards to this. All right. If you're going to hold it against anybody, you can hold it against me. All right. So with that, we're going to return now to the evidence in this case. And Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Sheila Kavanaugh, please.
Good morning. Just face, Madam Clerk, raise your right hand, please.
The testimony of the evidence you shall give to the court. Sorry, the matter not coming between the Commonwealth and the defense with the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Yes. Thank you. You may have a seat.
Just watch your step right there.
All right. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, I just ask you to speak into that microphone and keep your voice up so the jury can hear you. Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you tell us your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is Sheila Kavanaugh, Cavanaughh.
And what town do you live in?
I live in the town of Belmont, Massachusetts.
And what are you doing for work now?
I am a board-certified chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
And I didn't know that there were board-certified chaplains. What does that mean?
Well, to become board-certified, you need minimally a master's degree in theology or divinity. You need to complete 1,600 hours of training post your master's degree. 1,200 of those hours are occur in a clinical setting, and 400 of those hours are in a classroom setting where we study various disciplines: psychology, sociology, philosophy, theology, and ethics. Beyond that training, we need to acquire 2,000 hours of additional clinical training before we can even apply for board certification. And we have to demonstrate mastery of 30 competencies before we go to a national board, and they make the assessment. I also need an ecclesiastical endorsement, and in my case, that was from the Archdiocese of Boston, from Cardinal Sean O'Malley.
And before you obtained the board certification in your education to allow you to be a chaplain, what did you do for work?
Prior to becoming a chaplain, which is a second career for me, I was a senior vice president at Fidelity Investments in Boston.
And how long were you senior VP at Fidelity?
16 years.
And are you married?
I am.
You have a family?
I do. My husband and I are the parents of 4 adopted children. When I was pursuing my master's degree at Boston College, it was a 3-year master's, but it took me 5 years because we adopted our 4th child while I was in graduate school. She was a 14-year-old girl from Bogota, Colombia.
And how long have you been working now as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital?
7 years.
In the course of your duties as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital, did circumstances bring you in contact with Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, they did.
Can you tell the jurors what happened?
I arrived on the morning of Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I arrived at approximately 8:30 that morning because I was there to relieve the overnight chaplain who was carrying the pager. I was taking over the pager shift, which went from 9 to 1 p.m., although I was working a full day. When I arrived that morning, she said to me, "Did you hear the news?" And
So
Sustain.
Okay.
So you can't, you got to object, so you can't say what someone told you, okay? That's called hearsay?
Okay.
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 So I can say, as a result of the conversation with that person, what happened?
I was summoned to the Director of Spiritual Care's office.
Did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
All right. And as a result of that conversation, what did you do?
I went to Unit 8C in the Tower Building of Brigham to meet with Lindsay Clancy.
And what time of day was this?
Roughly between 8:30 and 9:30 that morning.
And when you went in to see Lindsay, what did you observe?
Well, the unit itself was filled with law enforcement officers, both outside the doors of the unit. There was Brigham security, but the unit itself was flooded. There were people from Plymouth County, Boston City Police, Brigham Security, so I had to make my way through concentric circles of law enforcement to even get to the room. I was permitted to see Lindsay, although she could not speak at that time.
And what was her condition that you observed?
She was dressed in medical armor. She had tubes, she was intubated, she had bandages, she had a neck brace. She was just covered and layered in equipment that enabled her to breathe.
Now I'm showing you Exhibit 121 and asking, this may be South Shore, or it could be Brigham and Women's, but is this indicative of what she appeared to be when you first saw her?
That looks like it's from South Shore because yes.
Does she have the same?
Similar.
Very similar?
Very similar. Yes, very similar.
Did you see her again on another date?
I did. I saw her the next day. Again, she could not speak. She was intubated as well. That was the first week that she was hospitalized.
When was the next time that you saw her?
The next time I saw her was the following week. I have a calendar here of my visits. I saw her on Tuesday, January 31st, and she had been extubated at that point so she could speak.
So the tube had been removed, she was able to communicate, and that was on January 31st?
I believe she was extubated the weekend of the 28th, but I didn't work that weekend, so I saw her on Tuesday the 31st.
All right. Tell the jurors what you observed and what, if any, conversation you had with Lindsay on the 31st. And let me ask you, how long had it been that they removed the tube?
Perhaps a day or two.
A day or two, okay. Tell the jurors what she said to you.
She continued to look like the photograph you just saw. She was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, "I am so glad my children are safe."
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, "Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God." And I held her hand throughout that conversation, and we prayed for them.
Did she make any other statements to you?
She did. She alluded to having heard a voice, and the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
And did she indicate whether it was a male voice, a female voice, loud, soft?
She alluded to the fact that it was a male voice and it was persistent.
Any further conversation that you recall about that, not about general things, you know?
That came up several times. I visited Lindsay minimally 14 times while she was hospitalized at the Brigham, and the voice conversation came up several times during several of our visits.
Now, after Lindsay was transferred or cleared to go from Brigham and Women's Hospital, did she go to another facility?
She did. She went to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital.
And do you know when that was?
That was roughly late February, perhaps around the 23rd.
And did you continue to see Lindsay at Spalding Rehab?
I did.
Do you know when she left Spalding Rehab?
In the late March, early April time frame, perhaps.
Okay. Now, Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the same umbrella of hospitals, is that right?
They are. So Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the Mass General Brigham complex. So for me to visit Lindsay in Spalding, I was still within the same hospital complex, and her psychiatrist at Spalding, as well as the chaplains, advised me to continue.
You can't say what anybody told me.
Oh, sorry.
So when she was discharged from Spalding Rehab, where did she go?
She went to Tewksbury State Hospital.
And fair to say that that would be back around February. It's been a little more than 3 years, 3.5 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? Now, when you saw her in Spalding Rehab and in Brigham and Women's, you were acting in the course of your job, is that right?
That's correct.
So you're being compensated, you're getting your paycheck and that type of thing, right?
Yes.
How many times have you seen Lindsay at Tewksbury Hospital?
Perhaps 200 times.
Tell the jury why you continue to see her for 200.
Sustained.
So, can you tell us how often on a weekly basis you would see her at Tewksbury?
Yes. When Lindsay was admitted to Tewksbury State Hospital, I continued to see her on a weekly basis. We had built up a very comfortable, respectful rapport, and I felt it was in her best interest to continue that as she healed. She was still in deep grief. She was suffering.
Sustained.
So
that opinion be stricken.
So, did she express anything about her children and their loss over that period of 200 times that you saw her thereabouts in Tewksbury?
Objection.
No, overruled.
Yes.
Other jurors?
Lindsay talks frequently about her children. She loves them deeply. She carries immense grief.
Objection.
Overruled. Next question.
And has that continued to your observation?
It continues presently.
When was the last time that you saw Lindsay in Tewksbury?
Just prior to the trial starting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Kamal.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
You were talking about on January 25th, 2023, when you first saw Lindsay in direct examination, and you said that there were a lot of police officers in the area, correct?
Correct.
But you mentioned that some of them were security personnel from the hospital, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that the security personnel for the hospital don't work for the state police, the Duxbury Police, or the Plymouth County DA's office, correct?
Correct.
So they're separate and apart from law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
And then are you also aware that on January 25th, 2023, there was a search warrant being executed to collect evidence from the defendant and from the belongings that she had at the hospital?
No, I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that that collection of the search warrant required state police and personnel from the crime lab to be present for the collection of evidence?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that following that, at any given time, there were only 2
officers, either Duxbury Police, State Police, or Plymouth County Sheriffs, at her room, the defendant's room, at any given time?
I do recall that.
And they were stationed outside of her room, correct, in the hallway?
Yes.
So that the only time you saw this large amount of officers present was on the 25th, when there were security from the hospital and search warrants being executed, correct?
Perhaps.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that on January 31st, 2023, you spoke to the defendant, and she told you that she heard a voice telling her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe, correct?
Correct.
You wrote very detailed notes that are contained in the Brigham and Women's Hospital records regarding your interactions with Lindsay Clancy, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And in all of these notes that detail every time you interacted with her, you never once wrote that she told you she heard a voice or what that voice said, correct?
Correct.
And you also said that this voice, talking about the voice, came up in several of your meetings, correct?
Correct.
And you never once wrote about any of it in any of your very detailed notes, correct?
Well, chaplain notes are not verbatim transcripts of patient conversations. I'm not there to evaluate the patient. I'm there to bear witness to their suffering.
Okay, but the question was, you did not document those statements in your notes, correct?
Correct.
But you did document some other statements in those notes, correct?
Perhaps.
For example, on February 6th, 2023, in a note that you wrote regarding your interaction with the defendant, you said that, or you wrote, Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again, end quote. She continued to express her fears of how her inability to walk may make her vulnerable to others in the future. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 9th, 2023, that the defendant was sitting in a chair adjacent to her bed and appeared to be visibly engaged, energized, and hopeful than in previous visits? Do you recall that?
Yes.
You also wrote in that note, Lindsay spoke hopefully of being discharged when the time arrives to Spalding, correct?
Correct.
And then in February 13th, 2023, you wrote in your note that Lindsay also expressed hopefulness in relation to her physical progress. She feels she has gained considerable physical strength and agility despite an inability to move her legs. She admitted that she feels, quote, deserving of this, end quote, in light of recent events. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Do you remember on February 16th, 2023, that you wrote in a note that the defendant expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted that she would be cared for in a facility with an excellent reputation?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 16th, 2023, that Paula, the defendant's mother, and Lindsay, the defendant, were playing a card game as they communed quietly, and that Lindsay expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted?
Yes.
And again, you've got all these details about her feelings and her thoughts and what she's doing, but nothing about the voices that you spoke of so many times, correct?
Correct.
And speaking of Spalding, you continued to visit her at Spalding, correct?
Yes.
In those conversations with her at Spalding, did she tell you that how in those first weeks at Spalding, that part of her physical therapy, she was working out with a yellow exercise band? No?
I don't recall her telling me that.
Did she tell you that during that time at Spalding, she reached out to a social worker there and asked for help filling out SSDI paperwork to get an income?
That would be beyond the scope of our conversation.
She didn't tell you those things?
No.
Thank you.
So, counsel has asked you about her filling out a form for SSDI. Were you aware of what expenses her family were incurring as a result of her physical incapacity, paralysis, and being in the hospital?
From my experience with thousands of patients, I had a very clear idea of the enormous expense.
There's a difference between, as the district attorney very appropriately referred to, that your comments were about her thoughts and her appearance and her feelings. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's a difference, however, between privileged communications with a chaplain and observations of a person's feelings and thoughts, correct?
Correct.
Tell the jury what effect privileged communication has when someone talks to you personally as a chaplain.
Because I'm not a medically trained clinician, I approach patients in a vortex of trust. Some of our chaplains at the Brigham are ordained clergy. And so there's this understanding that when a patient interacts with a chaplain, the conversations are confidential.
Do you put them in medical records?
No.
The words, like Lindsay indicated that she felt uplifted, I think the counsel read that twice. Were those your notes, or is that what she said to you? Did she say, "I feel uplifted," or is that your
That was my
observation?
perception of Lindsay. It was not her words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Como?
You said you're not allowed to put the defendant's words in your medical records. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. It's not that I'm not allowed. It's an understanding, and it's a conversation that's held in confidence with the patient.
Then why are there direct quotes in these medical records from the defendant?
Well, they're not verbatim transcripts.
No, not a transcript of the whole conversation, but you put phrases in quotes. For example, on February 6, 2023, where it says Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again. So those were her words in your note, in quotes, in the medical record, correct?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
I use my best judgment.
Okay. I would move to have these submitted as the next exhibit, the notes of the witness in her interactions with Ms. Clancy at the Brigham and Women's.
Any objection?
No.
All right. They may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Sorry.
Hey, Mr. Reddington, go ahead.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down. All right, counsel, can I see it? told you it was going to be a short day for you, right? And I appreciate your patience with us. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow at 9, all right? Same instructions. And that includes reading anything, talking about this case, watching anything. Just don't do it, all right? And when you leave here today, just drive, go home, wherever you're going to go, and plan on being back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The plan would be that it will be it will be a longer day than today. I appreciate you coming in here today. We moved the case a little bit today, and I appreciate that. So we were able to do that. So I hope everybody has a nice afternoon and evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning for a longer day. And just remember those instructions from the moment you leave to the moment you come here tomorrow. Okay? Again, thank you so much.
All rise, please. Your executive.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a short break at this point. We'll come back. We'll do kind of a preliminary charge conference. We're going to which I know council knows, but for everybody else, discuss possible jury instructions, suggestions from council. Then we can talk about any logistical issues that we have for tomorrow, and then we'll probably recess at that point. All right, so this will be a short recess, and we'll come back up. Thank you.
All rise.
Oh my gosh. Sheila Kavanaugh is nuts. That chaplain is wild. Thank you. Thank you, Angelica. I appreciate it. Sheila Kavanaugh. Yes, I'm a chaplain. Like oh. I adopted, and then when she talked about, I have a foster brother I'm very close with, so I'm sensitive around these issues. That's my bias. A narcissistic sociopath, totally. The voice, Sheila Kavanaugh. I also do a little ASMR on the side. When I'm not talking to murderers, when I'm not talking to baby murderers and testifying for them, I'm also doing a little ASMR on the side. I tried modeling too. I had my hand in a little modeling, little acting work. And then we adopted. It took me 5 years to get my master's because we adopted our, was it our fourth or our fifth child? Fourth or fifth? She was a very poor brown girl of 14 years old. Let me see if I can go back. And I just want to show you. I'm just going to go in a different, how she talks about her daughter, oddly, her adopted daughter. Take a listen. Hair on fleek, makeup on fleek, bright blue blazer on fleek. Look at these. Hold on, let me get rid of the chat. Sheila. I just want to see her do her name again. It was so crazy. I've never seen someone. You got to give her points for drama. Watch her walk in. She needs her own like music, 70s, maybe 70s boom chunka, or maybe like a Dynasty 80s. She looks like she's straight out of like 80s Dynasty era. Lindsay Clancy is again in looking jaundice. We had a break. We had some nice dark green that looked lovely on her. Now she's back to looking ill with these light tan colors. Nothing's going on. We're still on break. So I know it's going to be a short day today. Look at that strut. There's only one other, actually, I lie. In the NXIVM trial, there was Danny, a witness who Keith Raniere, the NXIVM cult leader, punished for. Danny had the audacity, this witness, to fall in love with a man, or kiss a man. It's not even fall in love. Kiss a man who wasn't Keith Raniere. And her punishment was to be locked in an empty room for 2 years, of which every day she wrote letters saying, I'll be better. She had her meals brought to her, her teeth rotted out of the back of her mouth. The best day, she said, it was like 2 years that she was locked in that room. And she could hear her parents and her siblings outside the room living a life. And she wasn't locked. It was open. Correction, it was open. But she was guarded, and they had her passports. So essentially, she was held captive there. And she strutted onto the witness stand, but that was like triumphant because she basically escaped the cult. She escaped torture and left and was dropped in Mexico with no ID. and she had to basically rely on the kindness of strangers to work. She's now running a factory, but she came in high heels and strutted. But this woman has no reason to strut to the witness stand. The shoulder pads.
All right, well, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, I just ask you to speak into that microphone and keep your voice up so the jury can hear you. Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you tell us your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is Sheila Kavanaugh.
Sheila Kavanaugh.
Cavanaughh.
And what town do you live in?
I live in the town of Belmont, Massachusetts.
And what are you doing for work now?
I am a board-certified chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
And I didn't know that there were board-certified chaplains. What does that mean?
Well, to become board-certified, you need minimally a master's degree in theology or divinity. You need to complete 1,600 hours of...
So if I talk like this and kind of raise my eyebrows and smile a bit at the jury, will you forget that I'm testifying for a triple baby murderer?
Training post your master's degree, 1,200 of those hours are occur in a clinical setting, and 400 of those hours are in a classroom setting where we study various disciplines: psychology, sociology, philosophy.
Psychology. Did you see the little furrow of the brow when she said psychology? You want to see it again?
Where we study various disciplines: psychology, sociology, philosophy, theology, and ethics. Beyond that training, we need to acquire 2,000 hours of additional clinical training before we can even apply for board certification. And we have to demonstrate mastery of 30 competencies before we go to a national board, and they make the assessment. I also...
Okay, are we in a library, Sheila? Are we in a library? Are you afraid to actually speak in a normal voice? Are we using our quiet inside voice to testify, Sheila?
Need an ecclesiastical endorsement, and in my case, that was from the Archdiocese of Boston, from Cardinal Sean O'Malley.
And before you obtained the board certification in your education to allow you to be a chaplain, what did you do for work?
Prior to becoming a chaplain, which is a second career for me, I was a senior vice president at Fidelity Investments in Boston.
And how long were you senior VP?
I made a crap ton of money, and then I realized that I needed more narcissistic supply, so I decided to become a chaplain. Because I knew people would think I was a wonderful person if I left my very lucrative job at Fidelity to become a chaplain and help poor little triple baby murderers in need like Lindsay Clancy.
At Fidelity?
16 years.
And are you married?
I am.
You have a family?
I do. My husband and I are the parents of 4 adopted children. When I was pursuing my master's degree at Boston College, it was a 3-year master's, but it took me 5 years because we adopted our 4th child while I was in graduate school. She was a 14-year-old girl from Bogota, Colombia.
And how long have you been working now as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital?
7 years.
Right, that's usually when you get a really like a formal introduction to a child. That's when we adopted our 4th child. You know, Daisy, she was from Colombia. But listen to how distant, it's like she's describing like a car make and model. 14-year-old girl from Colombia. And now she's a beautiful adult doing this, that, and the other. That's usually if you're going to introduce. But to her, it's just important to know that she was, you know, from a poor country, and we gave her a good life, although we're not going to give her a name. I get it. You know, I mean, you could say, to be fair to her, that maybe she doesn't want to give her child's name, you know, on a national trial. But still, it's just an odd introduction. Very odd. Like, it's almost like her child is a thing.
How long have you been working now as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital?
7 years.
In the course of your duties as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital.
I'm sorry. Tater says she's a demon whisperer. What a moniker.
Did circumstances bring you in contact with Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, they did.
Can you tell the jurors what happened?
I arrived on the morning of Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I arrived at approximately 8:30 that morning because I was there to relieve the overnight chaplain who was carrying the pager. I was taking over the pager shift, which went from 9 to 1 p.m., although I was working a full day. When I arrived that morning, she said to me, "Did you hear the news?" And
so sustain.
Did you hear what I did? I killed my 3 children. Did you hear on the news? Did you hear about my amazing? Did you hear about the thing that I'm proudest of in life, that I killed my 3 children? And now my husband will divorce me. I'm so happy. Get rid of them.
So you can't, you got to object, so you can't say what someone told you, okay? That's called hearsay? Okay. So I can say, as a result of the conversation with that person, what happened?
I was summoned to the director of spiritual care's office.
Did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
All right. And as a result of that conversation, what did you do?
I went to Unit 8C in the Tower building of Brigham to meet with Lindsay Clancy.
And what time of day was this?
Roughly between 8:30 and 9:30 that morning.
And when you went in to see Lindsay, what did you observe?
Well, the unit itself was filled with law enforcement officers, both outside the doors of the unit. There was Brigham security, but the unit itself was flooded. There were people from Plymouth County, Boston City Police, Brigham security, so I had to make my way through concentric circles of law enforcement to even get to the room. I was permitted to see Lindsay, although she could not speak at that time.
Right. I couldn't get to my murderer, my baby murderer bestie. There were too many of those horrible policemen around. I couldn't get to her. I was like, "Hey, baby murderer bestie, you okay back there?" But it was just like a barrage of cops. She couldn't hear me. Oh, wait, sounds like maybe we're coming back. Hold on. No. Well, no, that was false alarm. False alarm. Okay. Back to this demon.
And what was her condition that you observed?
She was dressed in medical armor. She had tubes. She was intubated. She had bandages. She had a neck brace. She was just covered and layered in equipment.
I'm sorry, concentric circles. There was concentric circles. Concentric. Did you notice my alliteration, jury? Do I get points for alliteration? Concentric circles. And my baby strangler buddy. I couldn't get to her. I couldn't get to my baby strangler buddy. Lindsay, you okay? Baby killer, you okay? Baby killer bestie.
That enabled her to breathe.
So crazy.
Now, I'm showing you Exhibit 121 and asking, this may be South Shore, or it could be Brigham and Women's, but is this indicative of what she appeared to be when you first saw her?
That looks like it's from South Shore because when, yes.
Does she have the same?
Similar.
Very Very similar?
Very similar.
Like that?
Yes, very similar.
Did you see her again on another date?
I did. I saw her the next day. Again, she could not speak. She was intubated as well. That was the first week that she was hospitalized.
When was the next time that you saw her?
The next time I saw her was the following week. I have a calendar here of my visits. I saw her on Tuesday, January 31st, and she had been extubated at that point so she could speak.
So the tube had been removed. She was able to communicate, and that was on January 31st?
I believe she was extubated the weekend of the 28th, but I didn't work that weekend, so I saw her on Tuesday, the 31st.
All right. Tell the jurors what you observed and what, if any, conversation you had with Lindsay on the 30th.
That's pretty quick to have a tube down your throat and then pulled out. It's like a, what did she say? By the 30th it was gone? Like 5 days, 4 or 5 days just to be intubated? I mean, defense wants to make it seem like, you know, she unintentionally hurt, you know, paralyzed herself. Is it so hard to understand?
31st.
It's like in true crime, like if things don't end up as planned, it's like nothing in life has ever, everything that you plan always ends up as planned for true crime junkies. You know what I mean? They can't understand that she, hold on one second, that she thought she could jump, like slide out the second floor window. Even when you say jump, I mean, it's really slide out the second story window. And she just didn't anticipate the ground. She landed awkwardly. Sometimes that happens, even when you're a cheerleader. But she's a cheerleader. Yeah.
And let me ask you, how long had it been that they removed the tube?
Perhaps a day or two.
A day or two. Okay. Tell the jurors what she said to you.
She continued to look like the photograph you just saw. She was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday the 31st,
she had been studying me. She'd been studying me. Hold on, let me see if I can put myself in here. I just wanted to get a full effect of this baby murderer groupie. So many dangerous people, and you know, all these. I think this case is not so. It's just what Lindsay Clancy's, how she murdered her children is very disturbing case. But what scares me more is not another Lindsay Clancy, although I'm sure there will be one. It's just how common these dangerous people are who will aid a baby killer, who are in our mental health field, medical professionals, psychologists, chaplains, all the people you go to when you're vulnerable and in need. That's what scares me. And I've been saying for a while, like, our medical system is really, it gets, I mean, we can talk about our medical system, but not in relation to this case, because the kind of medical care that Lindsay Clancy got was like of the elite of the elite. It's not the medical care most of us are getting. Most of us don't have a nurse practitioner to like follow up and ask us. Nobody's asking me whether I scheduled my follow-up appointments or got this test or did this or that. Like a child holding my hand through the maze of the medical industry. Send her to freaking Bellevue or Jacoby hospital. Send her to a lockup in Jacoby Hospital in the Bronx and see. I'd like to see her lawsuit from that. There's no playing with clay and coloring, and there's no walks at Jacoby. I don't think they're going to let you walk around the city at Bellevue either. I mean, does anyone find this woman frightening and these characters that yesterday we saw a licensed social worker on TikTok try to insert herself into this trial? Failed, but tried. Can you imagine going to her, scheduling an appointment with that woman? And before Lindsay Clancy, she was supporting John O'Keefe's killer. My opinion, I know she's been acquitted. Karen Reed. She can't get enough of supporting these killers.
She said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, I am so glad my children are safe.
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God. And I...
Wait, what did she say to this woman again? It was so weird. Such a weird delivery. I'm a good listener, but I don't know why. It just went one ear out the other.
I replied.
Wait,
and I went flat affect. But I
okay, she had a flat act, like a psychopath. Like a psychopath. Strangely, she was looking up 4 days before she murdered her children. Can you cure a sociopath? Psychopath, sociopath, potato. She knows she lacks empathy. She knows she's an antisocial personality. She knows something's very wrong. The flat affect, most mothers who really did this in a psychosis, in a fugue state, would be inconsolable, but not her. Flat affect. Do you see what I did? Catch the news? Hey, Sheila, catch the news? See what I did?
Remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And
right, she'd been studying me, and she's mirroring me. And I love it because I'm a total narcissist. So I love when people mirror me. I love when I can create another little Sheila Kavanaugh.
So when I went in on Tuesday the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, I am so glad my children are safe.
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
Right. Wasn't that Andrea Yates or one of those women who killed their children? I remember one woman who killed their children. I thought she drowned them. Is that Andrea Yates or is that someone else? Killed their children to send them to heaven or something like that. My children are safe in heaven.
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God. And I held her hand throughout that conversation.
You are going to hell. You, Lindsay, your children are safe, but you are going to somewhere very, very hot.
And we prayed for them.
Did she make any other statements to you?
She did. She alluded to having heard a voice. And the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
And did she indicate whether it was a male?
I wonder if the prosecution tried to bring in stuff about Andrea Yates, because it seems like that's the blueprint of which this case is modeled on. I really should learn more about it.
Voice, a female voice, loud, soft.
She alluded to the fact that it was a male voice and it was persistent.
Any further conversation that you recall about that, not about general things, you know?
That came up several times. I visited Lindsay.
That came up several times. I've been visiting Lindsay. You know, if I keep saying Lindsay, calling her Lindsay because I'm on a first name basis with a baby murderer. That's my baby murderer bestie. Yeah, her voice, it's not unpleasant on the low tones. It's just odd. It's just a very odd, very affected demeanor. I would be nervous testifying.
Minimally 14 times while she was hospitalized at the Brigham, and the voice conversation came up several times during several of our visits.
Now, after Lindsay was transferred or cleared to go from Brigham and Women's Hospital, did she go to another facility?
She did. She went to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital.
And do you know when that was?
That was roughly late February, perhaps around the 23rd.
And did you continue to see Lindsay at Spalding Rehab?
I did.
Do you know when she left Spalding Rehab?
In the late March, early April time frame, perhaps.
Okay. Now, Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the same umbrella of hospitals, is that right?
They are. So Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the Mass General Brigham complex. So for me to visit Lindsay in Spalding, I was still within the same hospital complex, and her psychiatrist at Spalding, as well as the chaplains, advised me to continue.
You can't say what anybody told you.
Oh, sorry.
So when she was discharged from Spalding Rehab, where did she go?
She went to Tewksbury State Hospital.
And fair to say that that would be back around February. It's been a little more than 3 years, 3.5 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? Now, when you saw her in Spalding Rehab and in Brigham and Women's, you were acting in the course of your job. Is that right?
That's correct.
So you're being compensated, you're getting your paycheck and that type of thing. Right?
Yes.
How many times have you seen Lindsay at Tewksbury Hospital?
Perhaps 200 times.
Tell the jury why you continue to see her for 200.
Sustained.
So, can you tell?
You know, I was absolutely convinced she was going to get off in the beginning. Now it seems like there's been more attention paid just from people who usually don't cover true crime in this way. Oh, it sounds like we're back. Hold on. Hold on.
All right, Counsel, what I kind of wanted to do is at least have a preliminary discussion regarding instructions. And what I would generally do is after we have the discussion is then kind of distribute a draft to council so we could have a more focused charge conference next day or so. But I just kind of wanted to get everybody's thoughts or kind of suggestions that they would be seeking the court to instruct the jury on. So kind of what I'll be using will be the model jury instructions, generally the model jury instructions from the March 2026, the latest suggestions from the SJC. And so Commonwealth, let me kind of hear what your thoughts are, and then I'll hear from the defendant.
So for individual instructions, we have listed opinion testimony, prior inconsistent and prior consistent statements, redactions. I don't think there are too many, but there were some on the death certificates, stipulations, and consciousness of guilt instruction. In terms of what we're looking for for the charges, we'd be looking for an instruction on first and second, with the theories of first being both deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. in terms of the criminal responsibility instruction, we're asking that the instruction regarding intoxication not be given, because from our perspective, there's been no evidence of intoxication by drugs and or alcohol during the killings. There's testimony, and I think there'll be more testimony about the defendant taking pills after killing the children, and before killing the children, she was on low-dose prescription, 10 milligrams of amitriptyline that was recently increased to 20 milligrams, but there's no real evidence of whether or not she actually increased that dose. And then it was a low dose of trazodone and a low dose of, I believe, Valium. So those were prescribed medications that she had reported no side effects from, and I believe in the text with her mother, she said that she was still waiting to actually feel effects from those. So there's no evidence of intoxication from those drugs. And then the only intoxication potentially could be when she took pills after killing the children. And even those amounts from the toxicology are low-level amounts. So we're asking that the instruction on intoxication not be given.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the defendant as well, because I did read through those. And I was trying to find the definition of intoxication as it applies in the homicide instructions. Most of the cases that I was able to find so far is the dealing with the OUI statute, Chapter 90, and trying to find the real definition in regards to that. Is it the Commonwealth's position that the intoxication is beyond what was the considered effect of the drugs? Because if you know what I'm saying, so if she takes, if a defendant, I don't mean to personalize it, if a defendant takes prescription drugs and it does create some effect, would that be considered intoxicated for the instruction?
I don't believe so. I think in the instructions it talks about having being intoxicated to the point where it affects your state of mind or ability to control yourself. I think intoxication, especially where there's not a specific definition given in the homicide instructions, I think you go to the general definition of intoxication, which would not just be taking medication as prescribed, but it would be over taking medication or combining with alcohol or other drugs. It's similar to the instructions in OUIs, operating under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I think you would have to go to that definition or to the general definition of intoxication if it's not specifically defined in the instructions. And I think the general definition of intoxication is taking some type of substance, either alcohol, drugs, medication, in excess and to the point where it's affecting your ability to think and to act and to control your behavior.
All right. All right. Anything? So I've got opinion, prior, consistent, prior, inconsistent, redaction, stipulations, consciousness of guilt, first, second, extreme atrocity, deliberate premeditation, and the criminal responsibilities without the subparagraph of the paragraph regarding intoxication?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Reddington?
I don't know if the government has been listening to the same evidence in this case. This is clearly an involuntary intoxication defense, at least as far as the judge's charge to the jury, based upon the evidence that's been presented, whether or not it's what we would argue is the over prescription of the medications, whether or not it's the side effects of the medications, whether or not it's the titration or the termination or the immediate cessation of the medications against what normal medical advice would be. All of those factors contribute to the state of mind of Ms. Clancy that was expressed to a lot of people, family members, people that knew her. She had indicated, I think Your Honor knows the evidence, repeatedly indicated that she was affected by the benzos. She was affected, felt that she was being addicted to the benzos, trying to get off the benzos. She indicated that the sertraline was obviously killing her as far as going from 25 to 50 milligrams, and then subsequent to that, when there's additional SSRIs prescribed. To suggest that there's no basis to give the jury the instruction, they may determine, based on the evidence, that is as a result of the involuntary intoxication from narcotics, not alcohol, obviously, from the prescribed narcotics, not illegal drugs. So from the prescription drugs, that's on all fours with a valid defense that they should be instructed as it relates to involuntary intoxication. I think it's the model jury instructions on criminal responsibility. Obviously, if there's any nuances that I would pick up, I would bring that to the court's attention, but I have tried murder case recently with the model jury instructions, and my memory is that I was pretty satisfied. It was Judge O'Shea, I think, actually in this courtroom a year ago, and I was satisfied with the instructions on lack of criminal responsibility. I would, at some point, ask the court to charge on involuntary manslaughter. I'd ask the court to charge on wanton conduct with a component of the impact of the intoxication. So you can't try this case in a vacuum. You can't present the case to the jury. I know the government would like to present the case only on cruelty and atrocity. They probably don't like the statute that allows a jury to determine the degree of murder, which would be first and second, but I think that the evidence is such that a jury should have the option of considering whether or not we're talking about involuntary manslaughter based upon the evidence that's permitted. So I would defer to the court on the instructions on cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice of forethought, second degree malice. I would ask the court to consider instructing on involuntary intoxication, to consider on the involuntary manslaughter as a lesser offense, and anything else that I can think of. But right now, that's what I can think of.
All right. Yeah, counsel.
Thank you. Commonwealth did request first and second degree instructions. It's our position that involuntary manslaughter wouldn't apply here. The evidence is that there was a specific intent to cause the death. So there's nothing that I can think of in the involuntary instruction that would apply here. Going back to the intoxication just for a moment.
Sure.
All of the medications, most of the medications that defense counsel talked about that the defendant was having reactions to and side effects from were before her hospitalization at McLean Hospital, and she was weaned off of that last one, the Seroquel, that while she was in McLean Hospital, and then she was without those medications and they're out of her system for 3 weeks, and she's just on those other 3 medications. So the intoxication that matters is not what happened in the fall and before McLean, it's what happened on the day of the incident. It's similar if it's an OUI, it doesn't matter if you were drunk in November, it matters if you're drunk on the date of the incident. So what matters here is that January 24th, 2023, and those other drugs and the effects that they caused to her aren't relevant to what happened on that day, as they've been out of her system for at least 3 weeks at that point.
All right, so the Commonwealth's position would be that the relevant analysis is what she was taking on or around that January 24th?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, any other?
Yes.
Yeah, good, sure.
It occurred to me, again, as I said, it's only fresh in my mind from a case I had here last year. I know the model jury instructions indicate, and I'm trying to find it in here, that there's supposed to be consideration of a chalk for the court to write out the elements of the offense of first-degree murder, cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice of forethought, etc. And I would ask that you not do that. I don't think that it's appropriate. I think it highlights, if you will, in simplistic terms, premeditated malice of forethought. I think you and I, we just had a murder case last year on another matter, and I mean, I heard your instructions. You're very forceful with the elements of the offense, and I just don't think we need to have this appendix or whatever you want to call it. And again, I did object to that with the Judge O'Shea. We did not submit the instruction list, cookbook, or whatever you want to call it, to the jury. So I think that the court's instructions would be sufficient. I would not want to have that chalk that is referenced in the model instructions. That's discretionary. It's not obligated. They just say that it might be helpful for the court to give the jury some type of a checklist. But I don't think we should reduce instructions on a murder case to a checklist. And I'm just afraid that what happens is that jurors then take the checklist, as it were, and they kind of look at it or consider it, and they just do exactly that. It's a checklist. So I would ask that you not do that.
All right, just so Counsel, my general practice is not to have that kind of list.
Yeah, I remember
I
that, yeah.
generally don't, but I also generally will provide a copy of the instructions to each juror. So they'll have their own full copy and they can follow along because the three of you know they're lengthy and kind of dry. So they'll have those with them. But I'll like I said, I generally don't do that chart. All right, so anything else in regards to the instructions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so my plan would be to have at least a rough draft available for counsel tomorrow. So you at least have that, and depending on the timing and where we go in regards to the actual closings, we'll have the opportunity for you to review those, go over the draft, and then any kind of objections or suggestions you want to make, we'll have a chance to do that. But so you'll have, again, it's a rough draft. That's all I can tell you, and nothing's in stone, but at least give you an idea kind of where I'm coming from.
Do you think, logistically, Your Honor, that with the presentation of Dr. Resnick and then the government having their three doctors, hopefully we finish the evidence tomorrow, we would be closing Monday?
I would expect either Monday or Tuesday. If the parties may need, I'll leave, we can talk about that. But, my old experience, there's been a lot of evidence and there's a lot of witnesses. And so if the parties feel that they need like a day to kind of marshal their thoughts, we could talk about that. So either probably Monday or Tuesday. We could talk about that tomorrow. All right. Anything else we need to address, you think?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And so tomorrow we'll be in recess until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll start with Dr. Resnick and then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. You just kind of looked. I thought, oh, So that would be the thought, and then we'll just kind of go from there. If the defendant rests, the Commonwealth can then present their witnesses, and if it's not done by Friday, we go into Monday, and that may mean closings and charge on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
And Mr. Verino will be here, yes, to set up the Zoom.
So you're not going to trust me to set that up this time? No. I think that's a good move.
No, me.
All right. All right. So thank you, everyone, and so we'll be in recess until tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court, all rise.
Okay, you heard it. Very short day today, just one witness. Then they worked out jury instructions. If you're just tuning in, you're watching day 17 of the Lindsay Clancy trial. Tomorrow, working out the jury instructions, I hope Reddington wants an instruction for involuntary manslaughter? Manslaughter? Involuntary manslaughter? Seriously? I mean, this judge, you can just tell by the way he says Reddington's name. I mean, he'll basically roll over for him anytime. Like, I'll do what you want. Reddington, what do you want? All right. So that's it. We're done. So I'm going to turn that off. Done for the day. And I'm going to, if people would like to watch the rest of Sheila Kavanaugh, the chaplain's testimony, you can watch it with me. Here.
Tell us how often on a weekly basis you would see her at Tewksbury.
Yes. When Lindsay was admitted to Tewksbury State Hospital, I continued to see her on a weekly basis. We had built up a very comfortable, respectful rapport, and I felt it was in her best interest to continue that as she healed. She was still in deep grief. She was suffering.
Sustained.
So
That opinion would be stricken.
So did she express anything about her children and their loss over that period of 200 times that you saw her thereabouts in Tewksbury?
Objection.
No, overruled.
Yes.
Other jurors?
Lindsay talks frequently about her children. She loves them deeply. She carries immense grief.
Right. She definitely doesn't express her remorse for her children. To the chaplain and to the psychologist who's besties with Reddington and hangs out with him socially. Strangely, she confessed about hearing this voice immediately. Reddington's like, I'm going to get my buddy down here and you're going to confess to him. How much do you think that was scripted? You're going to confess to him that you heard a voice, you were hearing voices, and they told you to kill your kids. Okay, you tell him that, and then he can testify for you. Strangely, she only expresses her remorse to for her kids to these people who could testify for her.
Overruled. Next question.
And has that continued to your observation?
It continues presently.
When was the last time that you saw Lindsay in Tewksbury?
Just prior to the trial starting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's it. Oh wait, they didn't cross-examine me?
Good morning.
Oh, good.
You were talking about on January 25th, 2023, when you first saw Lindsay in direct examination, and you said that there were a lot of police officers in the area, correct?
Correct.
But you mentioned that some of them were security personnel from the hospital, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that the security personnel for the hospital don't work for the state police, the Duxbury Police, or the Plymouth County DA's office, correct?
Correct.
So they're separate and apart from law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
And then are you also aware that on January 25th, 2023, there was a search warrant being executed to collect evidence from the defendant and from the belongings that she had at the hospital?
No, I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that that collection of the search warrant required state police and personnel from the crime lab to be present for the collection of evidence?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that following that, at any given time, there were only 2 officers, either Duxbury Police, State Police, or Plymouth County Sheriffs, at her room?
Wait, so there wasn't a concentric circle of police? Her memory is wrong about not being able to get to her bestie, baby murderer, BFF, Lindsay Clancy? Well, this is interesting.
Are you aware that following that, at any given time, there were only 2 officers, either Duxbury Police, State Police, or Plymouth County Sheriffs, at her room, the defendant's room, at any given time?
I do recall that.
And they were stationed outside of her room, correct, in the hallway?
Yes.
So that the only time you saw this large amount of officers present was on the 25th, when there were security from the hospital and search warrants being executed, correct?
Perhaps.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that on January 31st, 2023, you spoke to the defendant, and she told you that she heard a voice telling her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe, correct?
Correct.
You wrote very detailed notes that are contained in the Brigham and Women's Hospital records regarding your interactions with Lindsay Clancy, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And in all of these notes that detail every time you interacted with her, you never once wrote that she told you she heard a voice or what that voice said, correct?
Correct.
And you...
Odd, right? Odd not to write it down. I mean, I get that people, that would seem to be the most important thing to do, right? Yeah, this voice seems to be, that's like just sort of my instinct. It seems to be created by Reddington, this voice thing, and it seems to be based on other cases, I guess.
You also said that this voice, talking about the voice, came up in several of your meetings, correct?
Correct.
And you never once wrote about any of it in any of your very detailed notes, correct?
Well, chaplain notes are not verbatim transcripts of patient conversations. I'm not there to evaluate the patient. I'm there to bear witness to their suffering.
Okay, but the question was, you did not document those statements in your notes, correct?
Correct.
Who's bearing witness to this for the suffering of her children? Oh, they're with God now. They're safe. This woman's dangerous. She wants to bear witness to the murderer's suffering.
You did document some other statements in those notes, correct?
Perhaps.
For example, on February 6th, 2023, in a note that you wrote regarding your interaction with the defendant, you said that, or you wrote, Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of...
I'm a kind of dark personality. I like to be around suffering. Makes me feel powerful, and I like to watch others suffer. This woman's dark. How many dark and disturbed personalities out there? Is this like the majority of America? And I'm just waking up to it now that most people are most people this scary?
Quote, not being able to walk again, end quote. She continued to express her fears of how her inability to walk may make her vulnerable to others in the future. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 9th, 2023, that the defendant was sitting in a chair adjacent to her bed and appeared to be visibly engaged, energized, and hopeful than in previous visits? Do you recall that?
That's really interesting, Elizabeth, that you bring that up, that pictures of the children should be shown at all times during trial, because they've been trying to pass laws. And so I think they've been successful in some states that you can't show autopsy pictures in closing arguments, or you can't show pictures of the victims. Like they're trying to remove the victims from trial because it's too emotional. So that emotion thing, I find, of course, you have to use your reason and your logic, but there is a certain emotional component to life that helps us reason, I believe. Not over emotion. But I mean, are we supposed to totally remove the emotion, like our emotional feelings connected to murder when you're deciding a punishment? I don't know. Is that emotional? Is that
Yes.
You also wrote in that note, Lindsay spoke hopefully of being discharged when the time arrives to Spalding, correct?
Correct.
And then in February 13th, 2023, you wrote in your note that Lindsay also expressed hopefulness in relation to her physical progress. She feels she has gained considerable physical strength and agility despite an inability to move her legs.
I didn't really express myself very well. And what I mean is, I think it is a false notion that we can totally remove our emotion. And it's just part of our whole makeup is our emotions. I get that you don't want them to get carried away. This idea that we can divorce ourselves totally from them, I just don't believe. I believe it's an ideal, but I don't believe it's like can be made a reality.
She admitted that
you can divorce yourself from over emotion, histrionic emotion. People have feelings about things. People have biases. You try to remove them as much as you can, but it's as much as you can.
she feels, quote, deserving of this, end quote, in light of recent events. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Do you remember on February 16th, 2023, that you wrote in a note that the defendant expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted that she would be cared for in a facility with an excellent reputation?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February?
I think this is a really interesting comment, and then we'll get back to Sheila Kavanaugh's, the chaplain, the former Fidelity investment vice president to chaplain to murderer groupie chaplain. Vegan, something ill vegan. Children will often say they did something because their friend told them to do it. That's when you teach them to have a mind of your own. But Lindsay Clancy is saying that she heard a voice. It wasn't a friend telling her to do it. It was a stranger telling her to do it. It was a strange voice she never heard to kill her kids, and she had to follow it, had no other choice. I'm going to hammer home that theme today. Why? If the prosecution doesn't talk about that in closing, I'll be shocked.
16th, 2023, that Paula, the defendant's mother, and Lindsay, the defendant, were playing a card game as they communed quietly, and that Lindsay expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted.
Yes.
And again, you've got all these details about her feelings and her thoughts and what she's doing, but nothing about the voices that you spoke of so many times, correct?
Correct.
And speaking of Spalding, you continued to visit her at Spalding, correct?
Yes.
In those conversations with her at Spalding, did she tell you that how in those first weeks at Spalding, that part of her physical therapy, she was working out with a yellow exercise band? No?
I don't recall her telling me that.
Did she tell you that during that time at Spalding, she reached out to a social worker there and asked for help filling out SSDI paperwork to get an income?
That would be beyond the scope of our conversation.
She didn't tell you those things?
No.
Thank you.
So you were just under the impression that she was uplifted, hopeful, and it's strangely in line with what she told her care providers, that she was more hopeful for the future and she was uplifted, right? She was more hopeful for the future. Things were looking up right after she hurt herself and paralyzed. She hurt herself and killed her 3 children. Because the children that she hated and her husband that she hated were removed from her life.
Counsel has asked you about her filling out a form for SSDI. Were you aware of what expenses her family were incurring as a result of her physical incapacity, paralysis, and being in the hospital?
From my experience with thousands of patients, I had a very clear idea of the enormous expense.
There's a
What? What was the question and what was the answer? I have to hear that again.
We're incurring as a result of her physical incapacity, paralysis, and being in the hospital?
From my experience with thousands of patients, I had a very clear idea of the enormous expense.
Do you mean how expensive it was? Her care? Is that what they're talking about? What are they talking about? GoFundMe. Right. She just raised almost $1 million. I think it's just shy. Her GoFundMe is just shy of $1 million. I challenge anyone to start a GoFundMe for someone trying to speaking out about a baby murderer. Start a GoFundMe for the prosecutors to convict a triple baby murderer. You might raise $9, right? The taxpayers are paying. Matt Wall said Lindsay Clancy, thank you, Hala, could have killed her dog. Right. I read Lauren Chen said the same thing this morning on X. Could have killed her dog and she would have had not one single supporter. True and sad. Right. I brought that up in other cases. Same with Karen Reed. If she ran over a puppy or a kitten, or accused of running over a puppy and kitten and leaving it to die in the snow instead of a police officer. Same with Lindsay Clancy. 3 kittens strangled. Remember, don't F with cats? People are up in arms. Because we don't see the victims, we don't hear from the victims, and that's the power the killers have. They know. And they get off on it. They've removed them from the planet. They don't have a voice anymore. The only one that is real to most people who look at this case, because she's right in front of you every single day in her wheelchair, is the baby murderer. The victims are, you tend to sympathize with what's in front of you. Cora, Dawson, and Callan, we see in pictures, we hear what they're like from their father on his GoFundMe message and a little bit in his testimony. We heard a little bit from the prosecutor, Shanann Buckingham, in her opening. But they're gone. They've been silenced forever. That's why it's more important than ever that people become a voice for these victims. They have no voice.
There's a difference between, as the district attorney very appropriately referred to, that your comments were about her thoughts and her appearance and her feelings. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's a difference, however, between privileged communications with a chaplain and observations of a person's feelings and thoughts, correct?
Correct.
So,
right, those were privileged. Okay, you want to say those are privileged? You thought they were in secret, but now you're testifying to them? You didn't want to write them down because they're privileged, but now you're testifying to them? Andy, thank you for the 10 jewels, if I didn't thank you already. She's a demon for sure. Scary. If I ever get hurt in this area, she comes walking into my hospital room, I'm gonna boot her.
the jury.
Sheila Kavanaugh, you baby murderer supporter, get the heck out of my room. That's what I'll say to her. You baby murderer groupie, get out of my room. Go back to Fidelity.
What effect privileged communication has when someone talks to you personally as a chaplain?
Because I'm not a medically trained clinician, I approach patients in a vortex of trust. Some of our chaplains at the Brigham are ordained clergy. And so there's this understanding that when a patient interacts with a chaplain, the conversations are confidential.
Do you put them in medical records?
No.
The words, like Lindsay indicated that she felt uplifted, I think the counsel read that twice. Were those your notes, or is that what she said to you? Did she say, I feel uplifted, or is that your
was my
observation?
perception of Lindsay. It was not her words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Como?
You said you're not allowed to put the defendant's words in your medical records. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. It's not that I'm not allowed. It's an understanding, and it's a conversation that's held in confidence with the patient.
Then why are there direct quotes in these medical records from the defendant?
Well, they're not verbatim transcripts.
No, not a transcript of the whole conversation, but you put phrases in quotes. For example, on February 6, 2023, where it says Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again. So those were her words in your note, in quotes, in the medical record, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
She's probably learned that she can manipulate people more easily if she uses this like low tone voice. It is a little hypnotic. Does Reddington come back?
I use my best judgment.
Okay.
She used her best judgment. So this is a good sign of a lie. When you get like 3 different answers for something, there's really usually only one reason. Sometimes there's more than one reason why you do something. But in this case, she's saying, I didn't write about the voices. It was definitely not Kevin Reddington's suggestion. He's had his bestie friend, the psychologist, testify that Lindsay told about this voice, and then this woman, she told. Doesn't this seem like Kevin Reddington behind the scenes scripting this testimony? I don't know. Am I getting too conspiratorial? Is this just seems odd to me? It doesn't seem, she has all these notes where she's quoting Lindsay Clancy verbatim, and she doesn't put in that she heard voices.
I would move to have these submitted as the next exhibit.
I'm sorry, voices, a voice, a strange voice that she never heard before and has never heard since after she killed her. She heard it once, and that was enough. She had to follow it.
The notes of the witness in her interactions with Ms. Clancy at the Brigham and Women's.
Any objection? No. All right. They may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Sorry.
Hey, Mr. Reddington, go ahead.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
It just seems odd to me. All right, we're gonna close early for the day. Anything else? Let me see just before we go, since we have all this time to hang out together. Breaking, the Lindsay Clancy trial came to an abrupt half for the day after the judge individually questioned every jury for reasons that have not been released. So they think that there's some kind of break in the juror. And didn't one juror leave? I thought they had to swear in a new juror. I don't know. So we had if you didn't see, here's some more footage of the rally at the courthouse today. And here's where Lindsay Clancy, I think, comes in. Or is this Kevin Reddington? Women lining up to wave to Lindsay Clancy arriving at court today. This is like, if you didn't know what this was, wouldn't you think this was like some kind of celebrity? I mean, that's how we treat murderers nowadays, as celebrities. Take this out. Yay, baby killer! Woohoo, baby strangler! We hope you get off. Oh, look at that. Look at that woman, like, with her self-satisfied smile. This woman. Oh, the baby killer. Right? And they love her. They love Kevin Reddington, too. He's loving. He's just loving this. Hold on. Let's just see what's coming up in the top. This woman, Lindsay Clancy, worked out with yellow exercise bands for weeks at Spalding Rehab Center. Today's testimony hit me, but not in the way I expected. I really thought Chaplain Sheila Kavanaugh was going to be a big plus for the defense. After hearing the cross, I think she helped them in some ways and hurt them in others. She gave the defense something they badly needed on Lindsay's grief. Kavanaugh tested that she visited Lindsay roughly 14 times at Brigham Women's and Spalding's, then around 200 times. 200 times! To me, that seems excessive. At Tewksbury. That to me sounds like someone desperately trying to involve themselves in a high-profile murder story. I don't think it was a trial then, but a murder story. I mean, you can hear her when she's talking about how many police there were. It was such a big story. And all of a sudden, it was like little old me, Sheila Kavanaugh, was projected into a giant performance. My alliteration was projected into this giant machine of a story, sensational story of a woman who was so ill and so mad that she murdered her children in a fugue state. I'm so glad my children are safe. Kavanaugh replied, your children are safe. They are safe in heaven with God. This woman should have been like a Manson girl, Sheila Kavanaugh. She also testified that Lindsay alluded several times to a persistent male voice telling her that if she did not follow its command, neither she nor her children would be safe. It's awfully vague. They realize that this voice thing is a problem, and I think this is what this woman is doing. I expected the witness to be almost entirely helpful to defense. I don't think she was. Personally, I still can't get past those yellow exercise bands. Lindsay remembered what happened to her children. How do you look at an exercise band weeks later, let alone pick one up, wrap it around your body and work out with it without that object taking you straight back to what happened? Maybe it did, and she loved it. It's like her happiest moment. She wanted to relive it while she worked out. This is more from this morning. They're all holding up something that Lindsay doesn't have a heart. It's like that thing that I talked about with people who really don't feel, don't have this kind of empathy. We'll talk about their heart. Now they're showing heart symbols. From my heart is broken. Big red flags for me. The movement as clocking in from Pennsylvania this week. Ohio. Yeah, so this weird thing with the music. That's what the music sounds like. All day, every day. It's so horrible. It's so oppressive being a woman in America. Send these women to Iran. They think Lindsay Clancy has it so bad. Go check it out there and see how women live in Iran. I've got the crazy woman eyes. All right. That's as much as I can take of the baby killer supporters for today. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't think there's really much. I mean, I don't know. Should I do an episode on freaking crazy Sheila Kavanaugh? Do you guys want to wrap up on Sheila Kavanaugh? I don't know. What is the movement? The movement is to free Lindsay Clancy. Show up at the courthouse. They showed up at the courthouse this morning at 7:45. I know you're always going to say yes, dark side. I don't know. All right. Maybe I'll be back at 6. Maybe if I can think of some more insights on Sheila Kavanaugh. But wow, what a creepazoid. That's all I can say. I don't know. Like, the longer you do this, like, you just don't, like, you don't, like, the longer you do this, you really try to please everyone when you start a podcast. You're so afraid of the backlash. And then the longer you go, you just don't care anymore. This is the way I see it. Hate me, love me, I don't know. I don't care anymore. I just think and with this stuff, I couldn't really go the other way. I mean, I just find it so morally repulsive. The support this baby killer is getting and the way these murderers get support, and they get support from our press. I mean, where we should be, one of the places we can be the most critical is the way the press writes about this story, really inaccurately. Our true crime media is so poor. There's so much money in it. Innocence fraud is big business. And now they're really trying to push it pre-trial. So what it means is the reason that they showed up outside the courthouse is to put pressure on the jury to acquit her. That's what it's about. It's called undue influence on our court system. They have a right to protest, but not in front of the courthouse while the jury is there, in my opinion, but okay. And deliberating. I think they're going to be back for deliberations. That's what I think. I think there's going to be I think they're copying Karen Reid. I think there's going to be a group of Lindsay Clancy murderer groupies outside the courtroom. Have a great one, everyone. I'll see you back here real soon.
Mic check, Roberta strides through the static haze. True crime Gotham where the shadows play their plays. Fraudsters fold when a spotlight beams. Fact-focused queen busting propaganda schemes. Glass shatter lies echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Pulse, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing, she's the anti-fraud light. Hard task warrior, dissecting state and defense. Twisted innocence, claims breaking pretense. Gotham's truth seeker cuts clean with the blade. Facts in the forefront, no justice gets swayed. Cold facts drip heavy, real talk unfurls. Cracking cases open like oysters with pearls. Innocence gimmicks crumble to dust in the wind. For victims, her creed, justice till the end. Headphones blazing, she drops heavy artillery. Narratives twisted, meet blunt object civility. Roberta got receipts that unravel the ploy, exposing the lies these fraudsters deploy. Glass shatters lies, echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Pulse, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing, she's the anti-fraud light.